Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week I continue my two-part series on Aberrant First Edition by talking about the mechanics. Now, Aberrant was a variant of the storyteller system, and so many of the mechanics are going to be familiar to anyone who's played any of those systems. Now, before I go into the discussion on the video, I just want to say I'm experimenting with a different lighting setup. I kind of didn't like how the videos were so gloomy looking. I kind of want to make it a little bit brighter. So let me know what you all think about this lighting. With all that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the discussion as I talk about the mechanics of Aberrant First Edition. Before I begin, let me just say, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe down below. Leave me comments, tell me what you like, what you didn't like, what you'd like to hear me talk about more of in the future. Always looking for ways to help improve the channel. If you really like this channel, and you have a few dollars to spare, even $1, support me on Patreon. Link in the description. Any support helps keep me in books to keep the channel going. So with all that said, let's just get right on into this, shall we? So, Aberrant, as I mentioned, is a variation on the White Wolf storyteller system. Like the storyteller system, it's based around the key principle of attribute plus skill. And generally your attributes and skills have a cap of 5 each. There's stuff that tweaks that. The mega attributes. Mega attributes do different things depending on what you're using them for. For the most part, though, they add to your attribute for purposes of dice rolling. They do other stuff I'll talk about in a moment. Now, the core system also has a standard difficulty. And unlike other White Wolf games, this doesn't change. When you roll the dice, a 7, 8, 9, or 10 was always a success. Anything below 7 was always a failure. If you rolled no successes and no ones, it was just a failure. If you roll no successes and you roll any ones, it's what was called a botch, which was a critical failure, meaning something bad happened. Of course, you don't need to roll for everything. Outside of combat or stressful situations, if your dice pool equals 7, you get an automatic minimal success. You can choose to roll to get a better success if it's something you really want to succeed well in. But for the most part, it's if you're doing something that is just mundane and easy and novel, and your dice pool to do that is 7 dice, you do it. You don't do it with any flair, you don't do it with any style, but you get it done. And for most things, that's all you really need to do. Driving a car down the street, you don't need to do that with like 20 dice rolled. You can get by with just going, yeah, I got this. Now, back to mega attributes. Mega attributes work one of 3 ways. The first is you can choose to add 1 point, 1 extra die per point of mega attribute. The next most common way is If you have a test that requires more than one success, you can use dots of your mega attributes to reduce the number of successes you need. And then finally, you have enhancements. And these are the things where mega attributes become a bit more than just I'm stronger than strong, or I'm faster than fast, or I'm prettier than pretty. This is where you're dealing with the low-end superpowers. Like among the strength ones, you've got Quantum Leap, which is actually you can jump really far. And of course, there's some fun ones with stamina. Mega Stamina actually does a whole lot of important mechanical adjustments because of what stamina is used for. It's like, at various levels, it adds extra soak to versus bashing and lethal damage. It increases your lifespan. And it adds extra levels of the bruised health level. It also deals with how fast you heal. Honestly, if you're building a character, I generally considered Mega Stamina to be you pretty much have to take this. So I hope in 2nd edition they adjust things so it's not effectively a mandatory ability. Of course, Mega Stamina also had some of the most useful enhancements. All the others are kind of niche enhancements, but since you are going to get in fights at some point, the benefits of the Mega Stamina enhancements, resiliency and hard body, are like, yeah, these are just awesome. Resiliency doubles your soak bonuses. Hard body lets you use your soak bonuses for lethal damage to soak aggravated damage. So if someone's shooting you with a disintegration beam from their hands, you can resist it. And those two abilities stack. Now, hard body, you have to spend quantum to soak the aggravated. But still, that's a good example. But for the most part, mega attributes are just above what a mundane, normal human can do. And you don't have to have the attribute at 5 to take a mega attribute. You just, bam, take the mega attribute. Even if you've got the attribute at 1. It just means there's something special about how things work for you with it. Of course, the other quantum powers are divided into 3 levels. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3 quantum powers. And each level is significantly more powerful. The Level 1 powers are things like bioluminescence, claws, luck. Level 2 powers are things like natural armor, being able to control your density, fast movement, bolts of quantum energy. The level 3 powers are things like cyberkinesis, as in mentally interfacing with technology, healing, magnetism control, molecular manipulation, stuff like that. The higher end, way more powerful stuff. And these are where all the fun abilities come in, where the superhero powers come in. And one interesting thing is what a power looks like is how you make it look. Because your powers are directly related to how you think they work. So, a great example would be Quantum Bolt. Now, you can take some enhancements with it that do some things with it, but Quantum Bolt doesn't have to be I shoot a beam of energy. It could be, it comes out my eyes. Say Cyclops or Superman's heat vision. You can, even with the right enhancements and flaws for it, make it something like Gambit's charging a card. And that's how that power works. It can look like anything appropriate to what it does. Of course, one of the other things that makes Aberrant a neat system is, of the various White Wolf systems, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I do believe that this is one of the first systems where you build your character first as immortal and then add the supernatural stuff onto it. You start with building your character as immortal using normal mortal spread of attributes, skills, backgrounds, etc. And then you get your 30 Nova points. And these 30 Nova points you use to improve skills beyond 3. You use it to increase your, buy your powers, boost your quantum, because your quantum determines what powers you can eventually learn and master. And, if your quantum is 5 or higher, you automatically get 1 point of taint. A great background to take is Dorm. It lets you dampen or shut down your powers for periods of time. Lets you pretend to be normal, basically. In other words, it's what lets you have a secret identity, without the issues of poor Clark Kent of, oops, I just ripped off the door off its handle. And it's actually really, really cheap to buy up your mundane skills and attributes. You get a whole bunch of points for any of those for 1 or 2 of your Nova points. But where you want to spend your Nova points is going to be in the extras on your powers, your mega attributes, all that stuff. But that's understandable. That's what makes you the superhero. But it is still, I do believe that this was the first White Wolf game that did things that way, where you automatically, here's me as mortal, normal Joe Schmo human, here's me super. But, Aberrant in some ways was a bit ahead of its time. I feel the game never got the love in the general gaming community that it deserved. It really didn't get the coverage it should have, and I still think it was one of the best superhero systems made. Don't get me wrong, there probably are some better, but I feel it was one of the best. So with that said, next week I'm going to be doing a one-off, quick overview on Cyberpunk 2020. So until then, I just like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.